Hello, YouTube. Today we will be discussing Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie. In the suit, the singer says Mr. Combs, known as Puff Daddy or Diddy, subjected her to a pattern of control and abuse over about a decade. Mr. Combs denied the allegations. Sean Combs, the producer and music mogul who has been one of the most famous names in hip-hop for decades, was sued in federal court by Cassie, an R&B singer once signed to his label, who accused Mr. Combs of rape and of repeated physical abuse over about a decade. In the suit filed in federal district court in Manhattan, Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, who had long been Mr. Combs' romantic partner, says that not long after she met him in 2005, when she was 19, he began a pattern of control and abuse that included plying her with drugs, beating her, and forcing her to have sex with a succession of male prostitutes while he filmed the encounters. In 2018, the suit says near the end of their relationship, Mr. Combs forced his way into her home and raped her. After years in silence and darkness, Ms. Ventura said in a statement, "I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefits of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." In response, a lawyer for Mr. Combs said Mr. Combs denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Mrs. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. The lawyer of Ms. Ventura said the parties had spoken before the suit was filed. Mr. Combs offered Ms. Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit. She rejected his efforts. Ms. Ventura's case is the latest in a series of sexual assault civil suits filed recently against prominent men in the music industry, including Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, executive L.A. Reid, and Neil Portnoy, the former head of the organization behind the Grammy Awards. Mr. Portnoy has denied the accusations. Mr. Tyler and Mr. Reid have not responded. Mr. Combs, 54, founded Bad Boy in 1993 and became one of the primary figures in the commercialization of hip-hop, working with stars like the Notorious Big and Mary J. Blige. His net worth has been estimated as high as $1 billion, and last year Forbes calculated Mr. Combs' annual earnings of $90 million, attributing that amount largely to his former partnership in a liquor brand, Ciroc, that is owned by the spirits giant Diageo. Mr. Combs in his career has variously been known as Puff Daddy, Diddy, and Love, may be the most famous music executive of his generation. But the suit displaces Mr. Combs as a violent person, beyond repeatedly assaulting Ms. Ventura, asked her to carry his gun in her purse. The suit suggests he was responsible for blowing up the car of a rival suitor. In one incident, the suit says Mr. Combs dangered a friend of Ms. Ventura's over a 17th floor hotel balcony. In naming additional defendants, the court papers assert that others who worked with Mr. Combs had helped him to control Ms. Ventura, at times by threatening her with retribution, like suppressing her music if she did not obey his orders, or by helping to conceal his behavior. The suit, which named Mr. Combs and a number of his associates companies as defendants, seeks unspecified damages. According to Ms. Ventura's suit, she was swept into Mr. Combs' jet-set lifestyle not long after meeting him and signing with Bad Boy, which released her debut album in 2006. But the suit says he soon began to assert an extraordinary level of command over her life. In addition to controlling her career, he paid for her car, apartments, and clothing, and even had access to her personal medical records. According to the suit, the results from an MRI scan she had for memory loss, possibly caused by drugs use or by a beating she said she suffered from Mr. Combs, were directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also provided Ms. Ventura with copious amounts of drugs, including ecstasy and ketamine, and urged her to take them, the suit says, and often began violent, beating her multiple times each year. The suit said Mrs. Ventura never went to the police because she feared it would merely give Mr. Combs another excuse to hurt her. In one incident in Los Angeles in 2009, the suit says Mr. Combs became enraged when he saw Ms. Ventura talk to another talent agent, then pushed her into a car and kicked her repeatedly in the face, making her bleed. According to the suit, Mr. Combs then had his staff bring her to a hotel room to recuperate for a week. She asked to go home to her parents, but Mr. Combs refused, the suit says. In the suit, it says that after seeing the violent repercussions of rejecting Mr. Combs and the extent to which he would isolate her from her support to network, Ms. Ventura felt that saying no to Mr. Combs would cost her something: her family, her friends, her career, or even her life. Though she tried to leave Mr. Combs, the suit says he sent his employees to lure her back. In one incident described in the court papers, Ms. Ventura says that in early 2012, Mr. Combs grew so angry about her dating the rapper Kid Cudi that he said he would blow up the rapper's car. Around that time, the suit says Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Through a spokesperson, Kid Cudi confirmed Ms. Ventura's account that he had a car that exploded. This is all true, he says. A few years into Mrs. Ventura's relationship with Mr. Combs, the suit says he began coercing her to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism, in which she was directed to have sex with a succession of male prostitutes, while Mr. Combs watched, masturbated, took pictures, and shot video. According to the suit, Mr. Combs called these encounters freak off, which included costumes like masquerade masks and lingerie. They continued for years, taking place at high-end hotels across the United States and in Mr. Combs' homes. The suit said that he instructed Ms. Ventura to search the website of escort services to procure male sex workers. Drugs were supplied at these events, which Ms. Ventura's suit says she took because they allowed her to disassociate during these horrific encounters. According to the suit, Ms. Ventura would delete videos from these incidents that had been shot on her phone. But Mr. Combs told her he still had access to these videos, and on a flight once made her watch a video she thought she had deleted. The suit says that as a result of these sexual encounters in different cities, Ms. Ventura was a victim of sex trafficking. The suit also accused Mr. Combs of sexual battery, sexual assault, and violations of New York City's gender-motivated violence law. Miss Ventura's suit includes several accounts of her unsuccessful attempts to escape Mr. Combs' control. In one example, the suit says that during a freak-off at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016, an intoxicated Mr. Combs punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye. He fell asleep and she tried to leave the room, but Mr. Combs woke up and followed her into the hallway, where he threw glass vases at her, sending glass shattering throughout the corridor, according to the court filing. The hotel security cameras captured that incident, but the suit said Mr. Combs paid the hotel $50,000 for the footage. Like, share, and subscribe to Messitude.